Well, welcome to the show. This is our view from the bench. Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan, carpool driver for the chess team.
And I'm Corey, scorekeeper for the local Little League baseball team. And happy Friday.
Happy Friday, my friend. We made it.
Whew.
Well, I made it.
Yeah,
you got a couple days left. But I made it.
Yeah, how was your week, man?
It was good. Actually went by pretty quickly. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just kind of football and the podcast is kind of keeping me busy and focused on sports so much. It kind of just moves on by, but I'll take it, whatever it is. So today was actually a pretty chill day at work too. So it's nice. Nice Friday. Can't complain.
Heck
How are
yeah,
you?
Nice. Good. Yeah, I had 2 days off already this week because I got to work both weekend days. So, but that was all like, laundry and chores around the house and grocery store. So, a lot of fun stuff. But
GTL.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, B and I hung out a couple nights and chilled, and then just working and getting ready for the weekend.
Was that this week you guys had that breakfast for dinner?
Yeah, the other night we had the stuffed French toast.
Yeah, I saw that picture,
Tuesday.
Bro. That French toast looked good.
Yeah, banana, Nutella, and strawberry. It was really, really good.
Fire. That sounds good. Well, someone who actually wasn't doing very good is Daniel Jones yet again. I know you told him to get off your bench. Or get to the bench, I'm sorry, get back to the bench, but
move farther down.
Apparently he needs to move a little bit further down. I mean, they did play the Niners, so it's not like they showed up like that against a low-level team. This is a Super Bowl contender, so. But still, it was pretty miserable. Not from beginning to end. It wasn't as bad as the Cowboy game.
No,
but I mean, it ended almost, not as bad, but it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was not a good game. I didn't check
check
in until about halftime when I got home, was able to turn it on and saw I think it was 17-6 at half. And then I know they scored and the Giants scored in the third to make it 12 and then missed the 2-point conversion. So, but after that, I feel like that kind of woke Frisco up and they just took care of business after that, which Deebo Samuel, thank you for fantasy points.
There you go, dude.
But yeah, Daniel Jones, man, wow. They had 150 yards in the game, like not just for like the first half or in a half, like 150 for the whole game on offense. Like, I don't know how you're expected to win a game or do anything if you're only getting 150 yards in 4 quarters. I can't imagine. I know it's the Niner defense, and no Saquon, no left tackle, and it's a Thursday quick turnaround. There's always excuses at this point for everybody, but still, like, it's just they're so bad, and I feel bad because now they've gave Daniel Jones that 5-year deal last offseason, and
that was the dumbest thing they did.
Totally screwed.
I mean, I know Saquon gets hurt and stuff. Obviously, he's hurt again, but he's the better player. That's the guy you should give the money to. I don't know. It is what it is. Giants made their bed and they need to lay in it. So Daniel Jones had 150 yards, and as we can see on the screen here, Deebo Samuel had 130 himself.
No, Daniel Jones didn't have 150. The team had 150.
Oh, the whole team.
Yeah.
Snap.
Yeah.
See?
So continue. Sorry.
Even worse. Dang. And they only got the one touchdown, too, just like Deebo.
Yeah.
So it was Deebo versus the Giants yesterday.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Deebo is arguably not even maybe their best player. He's great, though. So, hey, just like you said, you picked him up for fantasy. People said, I don't know about Deebo. Here he is, man. Still doing work.
Heck yeah.
As you can see, though, from the other side, it was horrible. I saw a handful of parlays, actually, last night, where it was just every Giants skill player under, and they all hit. Basically, it was just a cash-in. Yeah, I mean, what's happening. You're playing the Niners in Frisco. They're going to be prepared. They're a way better team, and they showed it.
And again, no Saquon Barkley, no starting left tackle, just falling apart in front of our eyes, and no chance against that Niner defense for sure.
They moved to 1-2, right?
Yeah.
Niners are 3-0. They've won all 3. I'm assuming. Yeah, beat the Steelers, beat the Rams. Yeah, now beat the Giants. Huh? Good for them. Gonna be hard for us to catch up, but that's okay. I don't want to catch up. Try to get Caleb, or I guess even Shador now. Dang.
Yeah, Caleb doesn't sound like he wants to go there, so you might not have a choice on that.
Yeah, it is what it is. Moving the rest of week 3, though, we got one game. Of course, we get a taste of. That's what I love about football. They just decide to stagger all these juicy games throughout the week, and that's what makes it awesome. So. Sticking with the NFL, but coming with the rest of week 3, we have a couple games that we wanted to highlight. You can obviously check out schedules and stuff online. So we have a couple games that we want to highlight. The first of them being this probable shootout. This actually has the highest over-under this weekend. The Chargers in Minnesota taking on the 0-2 Chargers, taking on the 0-2 Vikings. Two teams that most people probably didn't see starting 0-2, yet here they are. What's going down? You think this is going to be crazy?
I think it's going to be a shootout because both defenses haven't done anything in the first 2 weeks, which is crazy for the Chargers because they're supposed to have all these big names and guys on the defensive side of the ball, but they just haven't been good. I know that highlight reel that I think I sent you, that video where Khalil Mack got stuck on a wide receiver, and he's like, yo, I'm not supposed to be out here. And then he got beat for a drive. He's like, yeah, this isn't my job.
Embarrassing, dude.
So, and that was week 1. So it's only going to get worse if they can't even start off right.
So and Khalil Mack's not even a guy to make excuses. Like, he's not like, come on, that was your guy. That's not what he's doing. He's just like, bro, I can't cover Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
What do you want from me, man?
Yeah, exactly. So if the defenses are as bad as we have seen the last 2 weeks from both of these teams, it's going to be high scoring, probably like 35, 34. Like, it can be one of those games where it's close but if it comes down to 1-point games, both of these teams have lost 1 possession games already in the first 2 weeks. So you would think it's going to come down to it, and it's a matter of who breaks first because one of these teams has to leave with a win, although they could tie, which would make it a lot more fun.
Imagine, dude. Imagine they both leave 0-2-1. Oh, my gosh. That would be hilarious.
I mean, it would be totally a Charger thing to happen, so don't count it out.
Well, the spread for the game is Minnesota by 1.5, so they do think it's going to be close. So to your point, I guess technically a tie is maybe not probable, but definitely possible, obviously. So
yeah, and obviously the team that goes 0-3, you're looking at a really, really hard climb back up to make it into a playoff chase. Because I think we talked about it and looked it up. It's only been 6 teams since 1979, I'm sorry, that have made the playoffs after an 0-3 start. Last was the Houston Texans in 2018. And when we looked it up, that was the year after the Jags had their really, really good run with Bortles and that great defense and then fell apart the next year. The Titans were terrible. The Colts had already lost Andrew Luck. So basically they won a division that was up for grabs for them because of everybody else being so bad.
It was like the NFC South of last year.
Yeah.
It was the AFC South of that year.
Correct.
Where Brady takes it, or was it last year or 2 years ago? Whatever, Brady took it 7-9. Yeah, that was last year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I see that. Well, we both have the Vikings. We both think they take it at home. I think the thing that we both settled on was we believe the Chargers might charge. They're going to keep it close, but they're going to find a way. And again, Vikings were 11-1 last year in 1-score games. They're already 0-2. So I don't think that they want to make that 0-3. They're a better team than that. Yep. And I think that's what they take care of on Sunday.
And to go with that 1 possession game thing, I think if I remember right, the Chargers were 7-5 in 1 possession games last season, and this year so they're off to 0-2 starts as well. So again, something's got to break. One of them have to win this game, or do we come back Friday or Monday talking about a tie?
If you called it here, man, you should have put money on it. That would be crazy. We got more games though. This one's not necessarily one you might think of, but there's a lot of other implications throughout the NFL that you might see depending on the outcome of this game.
Yeah, big time. I mean, just look
Patriots
at it
are in New York.
Yeah, just look at it alone for the Patriots side. Like, does Bill Belichick go 0-3 to start the year for real?
I think so. Actually, we both think so.
Yeah, we do.
This is going to be a battle of 2 really good defenses. The Patriots, regardless of what you might want to say about Bill Belichick as a coach, especially in 2023, one thing that he still definitely knows is defense.
Yep.
He keeps his teams in it by defense. They may not win, but they're always in it. Mostly in it. The Jets also have a great defense. This is basically the battle of 2 good defenses and 2 completely inept offenses. Well, especially with Zach Wilson instead of Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah, for sure. That's a huge
The Jets have an excuse at least because A-Rod's out, but Bill has been struggling to find any sort of offense without Tom Brady. So I don't know. I think an 0-3 start is not great. I'm curious how much any of his previous accomplishments kind of save him, or if he gets to decide, I don't know what that agreement is between him and Robert Kraft. Yeah. If he gets to decide when to walk off to the sunset.
Yeah.
What do you see with this game?
I definitely see, like we talked about, the Jets winning this, but I think it's more of a defensive battle like you talked about. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of who makes more mistakes, Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. And for some reason, I feel like it's Mac Jones because even though Zach Wilson's not great, the fact that he had Rodgers in the locker room and in the quarterback room during training camp and learning from him, you can tell he has a little more confidence out there than he did last year, and I feel like the team feels that as well. So he just has to not do anything dumb or stupid, or maybe when Garrett Wilson comes and talks to him, they'll score a touchdown like they have the first 2 weeks after they have
That's
a
all you got to do.
conversation. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think the Jets will ultimately win based on the defensive side. But as far as the Belichick part goes, like you talked about, if they go 0-3 at the end of this year, if they're like not won a playoff team in the next couple of weeks, if they go 0-4 or 1-5 through 6 games, do they have to start trading off what they have that's worth of anything? And then also, does Belichick think like, I mean, he's 71. How much more do you need to accomplish? And the longer you coach and the worse your team plays and your record goes down, the more and more the Tom Brady Belichick conversation becomes louder and louder. So why not just hang it up now and let the conversation be as it is and not let it continue to grow?
I mean, I don't know if he cares about that, but I agree. From a media standpoint or from like a fan standpoint, it only builds Tom's resume more to do that. I think that he should just kind of give it up, but I don't know. Like, if you looked at him, if you only had to make a decision about whether or not Bill Belichick wanted to keep coaching based on his interviews, you would think that he should have quit coaching about 35 years ago, because it seems like he freaking hates football.
Yeah,
he hates talking to people. He doesn't want to be there. So you think that. So I don't really know what's true. Like, how much does it keep him alive, kind of thing? You know how I feel like with the older. True. I mean, he's 71 is not too crazy old, but sometimes with those older coaches, that's like what keeps them going. Is that what keeps Belichick going?
Maybe. I mean, Popovich is the same way. He signed a 5-year extension. He's not going anywhere. He's over. I think he's 70, right, or around 70. So it's the same concept. But also, okay, let's be honest here. If they're that old, right? Like I think Belichick and his girlfriend just broke up. Maybe this is his way to distract himself from that. Also, he doesn't want to think about. I know, unfortunately, it's terrible. And Popovich's wife passed away, I think, a year ago. But is it something where if he retires and goes home, is he going to enjoy that because he doesn't have her there? So maybe coaching kind of keeps him, like you said, keeps him moving and keeps him at least feeling good for most days, because I'm sure there's days, all of them have terrible days. We're all human. So
yeah,
but that's got to be part of the thinking too, I guess.
That's a valid point. I guess I never thought about it but yeah, I guess that is kind of what I'm saying. You're right into what I'm saying in the sense that like it's what keeps them going.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's him.
Yeah, I don't know.
We shall see. But we both think that he does start 0-3. We're giving the nod to the Jets. They're at home. And again, I think Aaron was able to help Zach level up at least a little bit.
Yeah, and if
can you imagine
if 0-3, they're definitely not making the playoffs, because we just talked about how only 6 teams have done it since
that they don't have the talent to do it.
And they're in the AFC. We're talking about the AFC. It is stacked. There is so many good teams in the AFC.
Yeah, they don't have the quarterback talent. Can you imagine if Tom just kind of like heads back to New England and starts like coaching up like Mac Jones?
Oh
imagine?
My gosh. I feel like if he was going to do it, he would have already done
it. Yeah, he needs a year off, all right? He needs to relax and see what's going on.
He does. Have some fun in life, man.
Exactly. Well, he's making commercials with Julian Edelman talking about retiring with, the one with Dan Marino and Emmitt Smith. Sounds funny. That's a good one. The third one that we wanted to talk about this week is actually Monday night's game. I think there's 2 Monday night games. So one of the Monday night games, Philly in Tampa. This one's actually interesting. You wouldn't think so at the beginning of the season, especially thinking that Tampa was going to be towards the bottom of the standings.
Yeah.
But they've actually started 2-0, and one of the teams that they beat was the Bears. So take that as you will. Mm-hmm. But the first one that they did was they went to Minnesota and took a dub over the Vikings. So they're a little bit better maybe than we might think. But it is the defending NFC champs coming to town. Yeah, how do you see this one playing out?
Eagles are going to end up winning this ultimately, just because the quarterback play on Eagles is much better, I feel like, than Tampa Bay. It's no slight against Baker's. He's had a great first 2 weeks, but he's also had spurts like this before where he's had a couple 3 or 4 games that are pretty decent or good, and then he tends to have a bad one here and there. And I believe, if I remember correctly, after the first week when they won in Minnesota, he talked about he like knew the signals that the defense was using, which was part of the reason they were able to win. And I feel like the Eagles are much, much more buttoned up on the defensive side, and a much, much better defense that he's faced so far. So
much better than Bears too. Bears are garbage, bro.
Yes, their whole team is terrible. But yeah, so this is like a legit team that he's got to face, and I think that they'll still play well and be in it, but I think ultimately Philly and that defense will shut him down in the second half and probably win. Well, hopefully they cover the spread, right? But I would think they win by maybe 7 or 10 points.
I think the Eagles put the hurt.
Oh, you're going that
on the Bucks. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I think that I don't know if they easily win or they blow them out per se, but I think that they kind of cruise, as in they control the tempo of the game. They may not. Again, I don't know if they're going all out, but I think they definitely cover. I think we put the spread in at 5.5, so we just need a touchdown W. I think they win by 14 or so.
Ooh,
the question, obviously, though, is: are the Bucks legit contenders, or are they simply pretenders?
Yeah, no, they're pretenders.
We shall find out more on Monday. I think so too.
Although,
I mean, I was kind of rooting for Baker. Why not, man? Come on.
You know what though? Now that I think about it, the NFC South is very strange. You know, it's a lot of worst to first and third to first. Like it's just a really weird division and seems to be just jumbling all the time. So, you know, New Orleans is 2-0, Atlanta's 2-0, they're 2-0. Somebody's got to lose some games eventually, and but they're battling for that division. Who would have thought 3 NFC South teams would be 2-0 going into this?
Not me, that's for sure. Because I had this being like not a runaway per se, but definitely like an easier game than, easier division than I would have initially thought. Because like I said, we pretty much had it quickly going to the Saints. We just thought that the best overall team, and then adding Derek Carr, who's a serviceable quarterback, while the rest of the division seems to be kind of grabbing at straws. And it turns out they just keep winning. Maybe Desmond Ritter's better than we think, or maybe they're just getting lucky.
Can you
They only did one by one.
If the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield plays all 17 games, have a better record than the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson playing all 17 games? How bad the Browns fans are going to be?
Well, the best part is it's not like the Browns can blame it on anything else either, because like you could say like, yeah, but the Browns don't have X, Y. Now, granted, they lost Nick Chubb, so that sucks. But they have plenty of backup running backs. I feel like it's a little different. Now, granted, Nick Chubb is hard to replace. That means, please, bro, heal soon, dude. I hope you heal fully too. So yeah, it was so bad. Yeah, sorry I sent that picture to you. I know you.
No, it's all good, man. I was just like, whoa.
Right. But yeah, I just think I think that they don't have any other excuses. They have a good defense, arguably one of the better defenses as far as like at least talent wise goes.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
Names there are pretty insane. You have the defensive player of the year, hopefully coming out of there. It's not Micah looks freaking insane so far, but it's a long season ahead of us.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird that they do that.
But I'm just saying, you never know. It'd be crazy if that's what happens. If the Bucks get a better record than the Browns, we're coming back and talking about this.
I think that. Well, they're 1-1 so far.
Bucks are 2-0. Even if they lose and the Browns win, 2-1 each, and we're going.
They did, unfortunately, even though they went 7-9 last year, they do have a first place schedule. So I don't know how much that goes against them here, a little bit here or there.
True,
but
I don't know. Their Browns are playing in the AFC North. That's much harder than the NFC South. To at least.
I mean, they stole one. They stole a quick one from
Minnesota,
from the Bengals. From the Bengals.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Baltimore, yeah.
No, the Browns. They won week 1.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's when Burrow re-injured himself, and it all went downhill from there for the Bengals.
Yeah, and then again the Bengals lost last week to the freaking Ravens. So, yeah, they're not doing good. They're 0-2 in division, 0-2 overall. It's not looking good for that. And I don't know who picked them to win the division, but maybe it was me. Maybe it was me. I'm not quite sure. Well, we definitely want to show at least a little bit rest of the games. We wanted to talk about those because we felt like they had some more importance. I mean, they're all important. There's only 17 games that they play, so they're all important. But sometimes the little matchups are a little bit better than others. We can't sit here and, we could, I guess, but we can't sit here all day and just talk about all these games. So picked a couple, but we're going to head now into the king of spreads.
Whoop.
We're going to review how last week went and then show the picks for the rest of the games this week. This is where I think I might be able to catch up. I think I only caught up a little bit, actually.
Yeah, I did not have a good week. I can tell you that.
Yes, I didn't have a great week either, but I had a little bit better week than you. You were 3 up on me after week 1, and I've caught up by 1 so far. I got 1 more right than you did. I think the one that I picked was the Dallas game. Yeah, you said that New York was going to cover, and I said negative. Dallas is going to go ahead and take that 9, and and they did.
I thought maybe the Jets defense would show up and play well, and maybe hold the Cowboys to like a semi decent score, and at least give the offense an opportunity to like get within maybe a touchdown and kind of hang into it, but not win. But that is not what happened.
No, we talked about it a little bit on the other episode, but it was just the amount of time that they had out there. There was 101 defensive plays for the Jets alone, and I believe the time of possession was roughly 45 minutes for the Cowboys offense. So there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? Zach Wilson couldn't move the ball to save his life. He did, of course, connect as soon as he gets yelled at by Garrett Wilson. He does obviously throw a touchdown to him, so that happened just like it did before. So
that's weird. They should keep doing that.
Yeah, right. He should just get irritated. Well, honestly, I don't even feel like it's planned because he's just that irritated.
Yeah, true.
Garrett Wilson is a winner. He wants to win. I believe he went to Ohio State, so
that makes sense.
He's constantly all they do is win. They don't lose games. Any game is, and so it's probably in him to just keep going. It's not happening right now. So I think Zach might not ever get there. To be honest with you,
nope, he might not. It's probably too bad for the Jets too.
Yeah, too bad for him. Too bad for the Jets. But too bad for anything. We're moving on. These are the picks for the next week. We've got the first game already in the bag. We've both picked the Niners. And we got that one right. There was an 18-point win, only 10-point spread. So looking good so far there. But we do, when I'm looking at it here, no, are we?
I don't think we have anything different. It's a matter of the spreads being covered and us keeping ground.
Boo! All right. Well, I guess we shall see.
The crazy thing is we don't do these picks even together or at the same time. No. Like I did them yesterday and you did them today. So
yes,
it's just that's how the game looks.
That's how it is. We have a new updated standings. Still behind, but again, only 2 games behind.
Still right there.
Went 7-8. Yep. So we're getting there. But this is kind of a fun segment. I'm getting a little bit better. I think week 1, I was just like click. And then I'm trying to think. I technically got the same amount right, so I guess I didn't improve. But I'm trying to take my time and like really think about it. I guess I'm not as good at spreads as I thought.
Well, it's a good thing. This thing that we're doing on spreads is not us actually spending money on it. So it's okay. That's just the 5 on it segment, not King of Spreads.
Yeah, very true. And luckily that's only $5 too. So
yeah, true. I got 5 on it.
It's a good segment, man. I'm just saying. Sticking with football, but we're gonna take it down a rank. I don't know. That sounds rude, but you know college football. Actually, a pretty big college football weekend. And no, we're not just talking about Colorado. Are we talking about Colorado? Well, of course we're talking about Colorado. But are we just talking about Colorado? No, we're gonna talk about other teams finally this time. So we got a couple big games actually, because a bunch of ranked teams are playing each other. So this being the first one. Number 6, Ohio State at number 9, Notre Dame. What you thinking?
Well, we definitely like Notre Dame, but I love LeBron. I feel bad that I have to go against him. I know he's rooting for Ohio State.
It definitely is. Well, I honestly, and this is no offense to LeBron, much love, but not a real big Ohio State fan, to be honest with you.
You, as my brother-in-law would say, like the team from the north.
You're talking about Go Blue, Michigan?
Yeah, they don't say that name in Ohio.
That's right.
So if you're ever around Kevin, do not say. Even Melanie, who's not a football fan, has known now to say, "Oh yeah, the team from the north." She lives in Ohio. She doesn't say that name anymore.
Okay, well, either way, that's who I'm siding with. So, but yeah, I'm going with not this game particularly, but I'm just saying in general. Fighting Irish this time. Over under is 55.5. Which we think is pretty, for the high-flying Ohio State offense, it seems pretty low. I feel like each of these teams is scoring 30 easy.
Yeah, I agree. And Ohio State, I think, didn't even play that well against, I think, Indiana maybe in week 2 or 3, where they kind of struggled and they ultimately won, obviously, but they struggled in the first half to even kind of get any separation. So I feel like Notre Dame, one, is at home, so that's a huge advantage. And they haven't played a lot of good teams either, I guess. They started with Navy, and they beat them big in Ireland, and they've beaten big on some other teams. But I feel like the over-under, like you said, is way low because both these teams have been scoring a ton, and their defenses are okay, but I don't think they're stellar. So I would imagine that this is going to be an over for sure.
To be honest with you, I haven't been watching. I have to be transparent here. I've pretty much been stuck on the Pac-12 because all of a sudden they decide to be good when the freaking thing is over. And obviously Colorado's super intriguing too. But I haven't ventured outside much of that. This is obviously very interesting. 2 top 10, not even just top 25 matchups, 2 top 10 matchups. Yeah. Notre Dame obviously gets to play whoever they want. So should be interesting to see. I wouldn't say it's obviously a rival game, but I guess maybe Notre Dame just becomes rivals with a bunch of different people because I feel like when they play SC, they're like that too.
Yeah, but also you got to think too, this is probably a bigger game for Notre Dame because they're not in a conference. There's no conference title game to make up for a loss this early or to a big team later in a conference title game and kind of get that extra win to build your resume. So, Ohio State's in the Big Ten, they'll have that opportunity since this is a non-conference game. But if you're Notre Dame, you have to go undefeated if you want to have a chance to get in that top 4 in the college football playoff, right?
100%. And beating a team like a number 6 Ohio State, even at home, if you could beat them by 10, well, even a solid touchdown would be fine. Yeah. Then that just adds to your resume. I don't know how many other ranked teams they have on their schedule. They obviously make their schedule as they please. To your point, they're not necessarily in a conference, so they don't have a set number of teams that they're supposed to play each year. But they do try to make it to where they have the W's to stack the wins, but they also are playing tough opponents. So this will be good for both of their resumes. We shall see.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, we're looking at resumes. We know who we want to talk about right now. We want to talk about Colorado in primetime. This is going to be a huge game. It's a conference game. They're both ranked. Colorado at Oregon. This is going to be a shootout, right?
Yes, but I don't know how much one side's going to be shooting. I have a feeling, as you get for the YouTube watchers, by the way, if you're listening on Spotify, go check us out on YouTube. You can see the stuff that we make. You can see our lovely faces. Just search Our View from the Bench. But as you can see from the screen, we're both siding with Oregon. The over-under on this is insane, 70.5 points. And I just am seeing a dub. They're favored by 21.5.
That's the part. That's the part that gets me. Like the over/under being 70.5 isn't too crazy because both teams have. Obviously, Oregon scores a ton, especially at home. But Colorado has scored 35 or more in every game so far this season. So if they both score their normal amount of points, 70.5 is nothing. But the fact that it's a 21.5 point spread on top of that, that means if it's 70.5, Oregon's gonna have to score like 60 points.
That's what I'm saying. How do they win by 21 but also cover by 70? That they basically have. There's no like even split of success. That's crazy.
It's going to be a shootout. Hopefully, Shedeur Sanders can show up and have a much better game, at least in the first half, because last week they struggled, which is why they didn't score very much in the first half. But if they can come out and hang with Oregon and make it a high-scoring game back and forth, even if they lose, I think if you can hang and lose by 10 or less in Oregon, that's not that bad. That definitely will drop you in the standings, but it could be one of those resume builders later where if Oregon ends up ultimately winning the Pac-12 and you were the only team that hung with them in Oregon, it kind of helps your resume.
True. A loss probably doesn't put you in the college football playoffs, but it definitely puts you in a nice bowl game.
Exactly.
Which is something to say for when a one-win team last year all the way to again, maybe not college football playoff, but a prominent. Well, they can still. They're undefeated, so I'm not counting them out yet. I'm just saying if they were to lose, most likely not getting in a top 4, but getting to a prominent bowl game with a real name, not just the South Louisiana, Corn Nuts Bowl, That one's you're just like some of those bowls, dude, during bowl seasons. Like,
so
what is that called?
What company is that?
Crazy.
What do they do?
Yeah, exactly. Who's sponsoring this right now? It's nuts. It's nuts. I don't see how they don't get blown out. To be honest, I mean, unless Buffaloes are legitimately legit, Oregon should take this contest. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm more stoked for USC Colorado as a Trojans fan. Again, I root for the Pac-12 as a whole, and if you had to narrow me down, I would say fight on. Didn't get to go to any other schools myself, but that's always the one that I liked. So it's just this is gonna definitely be the toughest task so far, and we're gonna see how Deion takes it. We obviously have Coach Prime taking the Buffalo. He's not taking the spread too. He's taking money line. So just so we're all aware. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
not
he's
taking
not
the
betting.
21
Yeah,
half.
he's not allowed to do
No.
that.
He's taking the no. Yeah, no. I just mean, no, definitely not that. I mean figuratively. No, I no. He's not betting on. No, don't put that out there. Don't put. I didn't put
That's
that
what
out
I'm
there.
saying. I said it right
No,
away.
thank
Like
you.
he's not
Thank
betting
you.
on anything. We're just saying.
Another game though that we are looking forward to is another top 15 rank SEC matchup. Ole Miss visiting Tuscaloosa. This one actually we
Ooh,
differ. We picked all the same ones up to this point. I thought it would be a good idea to pick which one we picked, and then as we went through them, we all picked the same freaking one. So graphics weren't as cool, but either way, we found one that we done. But this one's actually the over under is 55.5, just like Notre Dame, Ohio State. This one, how are they going to score points? I've seen Alabama's quarterback. I can't throw a ball. No
dude,
offense.
which quarterback? They played 2 last week. I don't even know who they're playing at quarterback probably
Oh
at this
yeah,
point. They're
true.
trying to figure that out on the fly, which is not a good sign. It's weird too, because if you think about it, like not only is this an SEC conference game, so if you lose that, you're dropping within your own division and not having an opportunity to possibly play in the conference title game, but you're also losing like at home. You could be looking at a possibility of dropping out of the top 20, which with a team coached by Nick Saban, I don't think I ever would have thought I'd heard that sentence uttered or thought about.
It's weird to see them at 13, bro, to be honest with you.
I
Since
agree.
we've been like old enough and he's been back at Alabama or not back, he's been at Alabama, they've been top 5 almost all the time. The
Yeah, I
fact
was
that they
gonna say
lose one
6
game is
maybe.
crazy. Yeah, so it's just weird to even see them even this low. I picked them when they were hosting Texas and I got burned. And I'm probably gonna get burned again, but I'm somewhat of an Alabama fan. I was thinking about taking Ole Miss early, to be honest with you, just because to your point, I don't think that they have a quarterback, depending on which one you pick, that can
Yeah.
move the ball. And as
Yep.
good as your defense can be, if the other defense doesn't even have to play, then it's going to be a long night.
Yep.
So, but I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to trust Nick Saban to figure out a way. Hopefully, he learns something. Again, they didn't get the break speed off him by Texas. They lost
No, they
easily, but
lost. Yeah.
they didn't get like blown out by like 20 or 30.
But
So
I I gotta feel like that's part of the reason I am picking Ole Miss is because the fact that Texas went to Alabama and won. It's not like Alabama went to Texas and lost. They went
true.
into their house and beat them. So I feel like Ole Miss is an SEC opponent, so they know each other. They play each other probably every year, so they have a comfortability against them. They've probably won in Tuscaloosa in the past. I'm sure they always lose one game randomly at home to an opponent, with Texas being the case this year. But I feel like Ole Miss is going to go in there and their offense. I don't know much about Ole Miss, but like we talked about, Alabama's quarterback position is in question. So if they don't have like the most dominant defense like Georgia to counteract
No.
having a quarterback in question, so if they come out and don't play well early and Ole Miss is in it, then they're going to feel confident at halftime and come out and really think that they can go in there and beat them. Which, like again, that just means Alabama could be out of the top 20.
There's 7-point favorites going into the game, which is obviously a whole touchdown. So who knows? They were favored to go to beat Texas too, so that didn't really pan out that well either. But
True,
we'll
but
see. We'll
you
see
got to
come
think about
Saturday.
it too. If you look at the timeline of the way NIL deals have like come into play in the last 2.5 years or so since they started that, Alabama hasn't been the same in that time period. They've slowly kind of come back to the pack and are not, like we're talking about, not dominant as what they once were. So the fact that all the schools, or not necessarily schools, but businesses within the schools and the alumni associations and all that stuff have the opportunity to pay these guys to go and choose which schools to go to, then it kind of opens it up and gives everybody more opportunity. And now that we're going down to less conferences, ultimately, if they go down to just one big conference of everybody, then it's not going to matter where you go to play SEC or here or there. You're all going to be the same thing, and you're all going to be able to make money wherever you play.
Yep. Even beyond the money, you're going to be able to play for people who are actually trying to make it to the NFL, not just get rich off NIL. You're going to want to play the best competition.
Yep.
And lately, that's been the Big Ten and the SEC. That's why, obviously, people from the Big 12, Texas and Nebraska, Texas and Nebraska.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Texas and Nebraska trying to move over. No, Texas and Oklahoma. See, I knew it was Nebraska. Texas and Oklahoma moving over to the SEC, USC, UCLA, obviously moving over to the Big Ten, a handful of other teams. So they're trying to get into those places, one, where there's money, TV deals, but also for that competition. So it's gonna be intense. It just maybe doesn't show you how much Alabama was freaking tossing cash under the table or what, man.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking, right? Because now everybody's able to pay, and they for probably
And
doing
here
it
they
when they
are.
weren't supposed to, and now that everybody can, it's a little more open and playing field. It's kind of nice.
Which reminds me, give Reggie his Heisman back.
Yeah, for real. God, there's posters all over LA County and SoCal that say give his Heisman back. Like, it's actually like a whole movement. It's awesome.
The Heisman needs to definitely be given because he deserves it.
I know what's
the
going to
rule
happen.
is
I know what's going to happen.
what?
SC is going to win the college football playoff.
Okay.
And after they win, within 2 weeks, they're going to announce that Reggie Bush is getting his Heisman back. And then the week after that, they're going to say, oh, yeah, the Pac-12 is dead and we're moving on. And we're not talking about it anymore because at that point, college football will be over and nobody will be talking about college sports. Like, college basketball is not the same driven, and SC is not a part of that conversation whatsoever most years. So basically, once the football season's over, if they win everything and give them the Heisman and then they're out of the Pac-12, it's just going to be the sour taste of like, I don't know, just getting that really good news for multiple weeks in a row and then having that at the end would be the worst. Just the way it all goes down in fire.
Well, you heard it here first. September 22nd. You heard it. That'd be crazy if that all happens. I'm just saying,
think about
I'm rooting for it. I want SC to win. Reggie deserves that back. So I'm rooting for all that to happen, man.
Yeah. And again, in the best year that the Pac-12 has ever had in its existence, we talked about all these teams playing this weekend of matched opponents in the top 25. Yeah. Okay, there's 8 teams in the Pac-12 in the top 25 this year at this point, with 5 of them in the top 15. Like, this is the best conference, like, the year they've ever had as a conference.
Mm-hmm. It might be the best conference in football. There's teams that are ranked higher, and of course, everyone will, of course, say the SEC and the Big Ten are better. But as far as teams ranked this high, it's just the Pac-12. So pretty good props to them, which is why it's so freaking irritating that this is the last freaking year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're starting to be awesome. Now they're going to go away. Yep, it's so dumb.
Totally screwed it up from the get-go, especially with the TV deal and the Pac-12 network and not being able to figure that out. And now not being able to take advantage of having Colorado and Dion because this is 1 year and he's out and then he's going to go to the next conference and they're going to just build on it and continue to just rake off it. And he's going to hopefully build that program up continuously, especially if his son comes back next year and doesn't forego his eligibility to go to the draft. So it's just awesome that it's, as a Pac-12 fan right now, it's great, but in a couple months, it's all going to be really sad when it's over.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened, Corey. That's the saying, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I believe that is the saying. Which, you know what? Smiling is a good thing. You're right. And because of that, we're going to move on to some really cool things that we want to talk about, at least with the baseball records that have been broken this year. Just like season records, at least for individuals, not necessarily team records. So I don't know. Which one do you want to start first with?
I'd like to give some applause to people who have done things that have never been done before. We're going to highlight 3 of them right now. Actually, all of them in the National League, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's weird.
But there's a solid people. So we want to give some shout outs. Let's check out what things have been done for the first time ever this year in Major League Baseball. We'll start with the hometown kid. And when I say hometown, I mean where we're from, unfortunately, Corey, not our favorite team.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman becomes the first player in Major League Baseball history to have 25 home runs, 55 doubles, and 20 stolen bases in the same season. Wow. Dodgers are rolling, man. Not top of the NL, but second place in the National League and widening the gap. We're winning, right? And we're still 13, 14 games back from them in the division. So
yeah,
props to him. Props to Mookie. I know Mookie's doing good things. So pretty cool, though. Pretty cool. Good for Dodgers. I mean, not good for the Dodgers, but good for Freddie.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, tonight he got his 200th hit, too. And it's the most he's had in a season, I believe, in his career. So he's just adding on to first for him. And, yeah, unfortunately, the Dodgers are rolling, but it's also not October yet. So I'm not going to be worried about it until October.
True. It's close, but true.
Yeah, plus pitching's a problem. We'll see how that goes.
Yes. The second one. We're gonna go now back to the hometown of our favorite team. You wanna throw out the Diamondbacks one?
Heck yeah! So Corbin Carroll, who has just been great in the year and a half or 2 years he's been up with them. I got a chance to see them play in Milwaukee on that trip with my dad back in June, and to see him play live, and man, he is just a great player. First rookie to ever have 25 home runs and 50 stolen bases in the same season. Now, he is one of, I think, 13 people to do it ever and one of 3 under the age of 23, but he is the first rookie to ever do it. So at this point, especially if the Diamondbacks end up making a wild card spot, I would think he's got Rookie of the Year locked up for the NL.
I hope so. And I like the way that the trajectory is for the Diamondbacks. I hope we can. We talked about this yesterday. I was saying I hope we can really retain this talent. And you told me lucky because guess what?
Already did.
And I was stoked. You said, what did he? We got like an 8-year deal or something like that?
Yeah, 7 or 8 for like 111, which is not astronomical for baseball considering some of these 10-year deals you see with 300. But I think part of it is the thinking is kind of like Atlanta, where you have these young guys that are really good and you get them up early. And instead of how old school baseball ownership when GMs would do it, where they drag out your rookie service time and all your arbitration years and everything until they absolutely have to pay you. And then it becomes I want 300 million, and then they don't want to pay that and they let you go. The Braves kind of started this where they get them up young, they get really good, and then they sign them right away. They're like, you know what? Instead of waiting 4 more years of all this arbitration stuff, let's just give you an 8-year deal now. So really, you're only giving them a 4-year extension because you already had them in your mind and in your books for the next 4 years already. So I think that's what they're doing now. They got Carroll signed young when Ketel Marte was traded to us from the Mariners. I think within that first year and a half, boom, there was like his extension. And it wasn't crazy astronomical numbers because he was so young coming from a smaller contract that the rise up was good enough to take in the moment.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's smart.
Mm-hmm.
2 things. I mean, one is, but what do the Braves know? What have they done lately besides win a World Series and become the best team in the National League? Oh, exactly. Yeah, they're kicking ass. Maybe we should take some notes. Okay, I like that.
Absolutely.
I think that's good. The next one, though.
Actually, talking about
speaking of the Braves, exactly. This dude is nuts.
Ronald Acuña Jr. My Lord. Okay, first of all, this is a couple different things in one almost at this point.
Yeah, he's done a couple things already, and we can't even keep up. We're literally, right before this started, we're trying to figure out, what do we put on here? Because where's he at? I don't know. Yeah. He's like so close to this, but should he do that?
Yeah, Oof. So as of this moment that we're recording this on Friday night, he has the first player in MLB history to have 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases in the same home season. Now, he also...
But he did that when?
Like a couple weeks ago when he was in LA playing against the Dodgers. As of tonight, now, he hit his 40th home run. So I would assume, obviously, he's the first 40-60. Yes. And he's only 3 stolen bases away from 70, so he could be the first ever 40-70. It's just getting out of control with these numbers. And he's batting over 300 on top of it.
Just throw the MVP at him.
Right?
My gosh, this dude's insane. I mean, he's going to catch it. Or he's going to knock it out of the park, one of the two. Dude's crazy. And I love it. I actually love it. So I think it's awesome.
Heck yeah, dude. And the Braves are such a fun team to watch. Okay, I'm going to say this, but let me explain what I mean when I say this. In 2017, when we didn't know about trash cans and the Astros doing what they were doing in that season, in the moment of 2017, as a baseball fan, it was a lot of fun to watch those Astros teams because of them cheating and hitting all those crazy home runs late in games and scoring big and that stadium exploding. It was a lot of fun to watch them because they had a lot of personalities and they were winning and it was fun.
Yeah,
I have that same feeling from the Atlanta Braves right now, but they're not cheating. I know that's not happening because it's too hard to do it nowadays compared to back.
Because they're all paying attention. Yeah.
Exactly. But they have that vibe of like they're having fun. They're all doing really well. I mean, Olsen and Acuña both are in the MVP candidacy, and they're on the same team. I mean, it's the same.
So's Freddie and
I was going to say same case in LA with Freddie and Mookie for sure. Those 4 are the only 4 we're talking about. There's nobody else in the NL.
And of course, on the same freaking teams, and of course, they're the 2 best teams in the National League. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy how that all works out.
So Acuña can be the first to do a lot of things that we've never seen done before, and hopefully this time when they get to the playoffs and they can hopefully ultimately win a World Series, Acuña can be a part of it because last time he got hurt before the playoffs or right at the beginning and didn't actually get to contribute for the run.
If I had to put like an order to it, I would say Diamondbacks is who I'm rooting for first. Then I would probably put the Braves close in second. Maybe I would look at American League team, but other than that, like I like the Braves too. Right? I kind of see your point. I think they have some cool personalities, even with Ozzy Albies. Mm-hmm. So I think they're pretty cool. I like watching them.
Plus, my brother-in-law is a fan, so it helps to have it in the family.
I guess that's all right. That's pretty cool too. We wanted to kind of talk a little bit though as baseball season is wrapping up, I know there were a lot of rule changes and stuff like that, but I saw a post that I thought was pretty interesting. It was posted, and I'll tell you the specific day because I think it means something. It's posted on August 27th. Not that date that means anything, but I'm trying to give context as to why. It seems just kind of fitting to discuss as we wrap up the season because of all the rule changes. The post read this. On August 25th, there were 4,319 pitches thrown across the major leagues. For the first time on a day with a full slate of games, which means 15 games, all teams are playing, all 32, there were 0 pitch clock violations. So they're getting it. They're getting it. Attendance is up 9.2%. Game time is down 25 minutes to an average time of about 2.5 to 2 hours and 39 minutes. It seems like these rules, as simple as they may seem in nature, are working, right?
Heck yeah, more of it. I love it. Okay, last year when they announced they were going to do this, or 2 years ago when it was down the pipeline or whatever, initially I was kind of but then the more I kind of read about it and thought about it, I was like, you know what? I'm a diehard baseball fan regardless. I just love the sport. I think part of it is growing up, that was the first sport I played, like with teams and like learning the concepts and ways of doing it and strategy. So I'm like really into it, even though I'm not good at it myself. But I just really love the game. So I feel like my pure heart of loving it is the game was fine, but in this day and age, nobody wants to watch baseball for 3.5 hours. Most people, and the game was so slow with the guy. I mean, there's videos when this thing first started being the season of a guy from last year could take almost 2 outs in a chain, and if possibly the third out could be done before he throws like 3 pitches, like it gets through one batter. It was just out of control. So I understand why they did it to help the game. Obviously, it's helped you. The numbers you just gave us reflect the positivity out of it. So in the long run, I think it worked. I think Theo Epstein and them at the top trying to figure out how to make the game better for this generation
Genius, bro.
is doing the right thing. Now, I know there's been talk about like possibly the pitchers having more injuries. I think I heard today something about like 40 to 45% more elbow, shoulder injuries for pitchers this season because they're quicker. But I think also if some of the people complaining about it, they're like Max Scherzer, well, dude, you're 37 or 38. You also are pitching 20 years into this. Like a lot of the younger guys who have gone through the minors the last couple of years and played with this pitch clock aren't probably having as many issues as the older guys. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they've had time to kind of learn with it, and a lot of these older guys are now on the fly in 1 year.
It's not even just the pitch clock. I do agree that that's a big piece because time is the most important asset we have as humans. So not spending 3 hours of it sitting watching a ball get thrown back and forth between two people, I can see as valuable. But also I think like even the defensive shift limitations, right? Yes. So people are actually getting base hits instead of 1-0 games. We're actually seeing like 11 to 10 games, like some softball scores. So I think that's pretty interesting. But I want to make a note real quick on something that you said, Theo Epstein. This man needs to be remembered in baseball history.
I agree. It's preaching.
Broke the curse in Boston for the Red Sox, broke the curse in Chicago for the Cubs, and then reinvented the game to make it more interesting in this new generation, basically. Like two storied franchises, and then just fixing the game as a whole. He needs to be remembered for things like that. So
he will be in the MLB Hall of Fame as a contributor, no doubt. I don't
GM for sure too.
Well, just as a contributor, GM, whatever, in any facet of any kind, because he's not playing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So,
like any facet that you could say that he helped, he should be in there for. I completely agree. The fact that not only did he do what he did for baseball as a whole, but like you said, taking the Cubs and the Red Sox out of those 85 plus years
and 100 plus years,
just out of control stuff. Like those fans will always remember it. Like I wouldn't be shocked how many Red Sox and Cub fans, at least after they won the first one in Boston, because they won so many after, have kids named Theo that are about 20 to 30 years old right now.
I can see that. I can see that because it's such a long, the curse of the great Bambino. Yeah. It's so old. The guy's been dead. I mean, all of his pictures in black and white. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then the Billy Goat curse, that was at a time where it was okay to bring a goat to a baseball. Like that's how old that was.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I partially take credit. I did visit Chicago. I ate at the Billy Goat Tavern, the original Billy Goat Tavern, and then they won. So, I helped break some too. But we'll give Theo most of the credit for, making the team.
Yeah, you got it, man. But yeah, I agree with you more than ever on this. He has to be in the Hall of Fame and be remembered for all the differences that he's made for the sport in the best way possible.
Yeah. So shout out to you, Theo. We see you. Not everything that happens behind the scenes goes unnoticed.
Yeah, which behind the scenes is a great way for us to transition to the next thing I want to talk about. I know we don't both know as much about this sport as we do the others.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up to you, my
friend.
friend.
Yeah, I know a little more because obviously I work in the sport of hockey. But I just wanted the season's getting started. All the teams had media day over this past week, so I just want to talk about and reach a couple points about some things to look out for this upcoming season. The first one being is, will Vegas repeat as Stanley Cup champs? It has been done 4 times. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 times. 4 repeat champs since 1991. 4. 2 of them were the Penguins, but the Lightning did it in 20 and 21. Obviously, one of those was the COVID bubble that they did in Toronto. But still, I feel like it's so hard to repeat in general. And the other one was the Penguins with Crosby, which that's your boy. That's easy for him to do that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
But I feel like, they have a chance, right? They brought back nearly the same entire roster. They brought back their goalie, Aiden Hill, who's the one who ultimately got him to the cup, and then Ivan Barbashev as well, which is huge for them. The only thing they really lost is Riley O'Smith, but they had to trade him, but that's more because of cap casualty. The NHL salary cap is like 85, and you cannot be over it $1, so you got to make cuts where you got to make cuts. But they also take advantage and use that long-term IR where if a guy's hurt in the regular season and his money is really high, it doesn't count against the cap, and then when the playoffs start, there is no cap, which is
nice.
Weird. So you can just play whoever you have in your system at that point. I don't know. It's a bizarre twist that hockey has. But they're also ranked 6th at FanDuel to win and repeat at 13-1. So I know you're not a huge follower, but do you think we can see a repeat champion?
Well, they were talented. I mean, I watched hockey-ish, and then I definitely watched the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Dude, the best playoffs.
So I saw them. I mean, they were actually on the brink, I believe, from being eliminated, or I'm remembering, or they put people on the brink of elimination. But I could have swore that they were on the brink and they came back and then just basically stormed back and took everything. So I think they have a chance. Real quick to touch on the Lightning. As much as we want to say, that's kind of what I wish the Lakers could have done. As much as we want to say the COVID bubble, I think the follow-up championship for the Lightning specifically, because nobody else really did that, kind of excuses that because it's like, but then we just did it again. So we probably would, I'm not saying anything
not
happened,
only that, to make your point even more fact, after they won it back-to-back, they went back to the finals a third straight year and then lost. So again,
barely too.
Yeah.
I think it went 6 or 7. So
6 games, I believe. Yeah.
6. Yeah. So
Colorado
I remember that too.
So good.
True. And then they kind of not withered into nothing, but they didn't do much last year either.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's hard to repeat in hockey because it's funny when you watch the playoffs and you see a guy get injured in a series, but he still keeps playing because hockey players are insane and will play.
Y'all are crazy. Yeah.
You'll find out after the series is over, like the Florida Panthers, they lost that series in the final last year. It comes out after Tkachuk broke his collarbone, but somehow couldn't get himself dressed. His brother was helping him get dressed, but he was still playing in the games. What are you doing out there at that point? And then guys will have,
gladiators
broken, it even comes out that some guys have torn ACLs they play through. Like hockey players are another level, man. Those are the most gladiator guys in any sport.
Sorry, Nick Chubb. Get up. Get up.
Well, maybe not.
Here's
Nick
the
Chubb.
ball.
He's okay. Nick Chubb's okay. He can stay down.
Oh, I'm just saying, you said they're playing through ACL tears. I'm just saying, Nick Chubb, get up, buddy.
He had a little more than that, But another thing I wanted to tap on, at least because it's kind of a strange story, and we kind of talked about it yesterday. I think I blew your mind with a little bit of the story. The Blue Jackets hired.
Weird.
Yeah, the Blue Jackets hired Mike Babcock this season to take over. He won a Stanley Cup with the Red Wings. He was a coach for the Ducks and actually took them to the Stanley Cup final back the first time in 2003 when they lost. But he was hired to take over the Blue Jackets, and before the season started, he's been there 2 months. He had a team meeting and wanted to do kind of a bonding session and get to know everybody. He asked some players for their phones, I guess, and wanted to go open it, give me to the photos. And a couple of the older players didn't seem to think much of it and thought it was not as big a deal, I guess. But there were some other players on the younger side of the generation that complained that it was an invasion of privacy and that they shouldn't be having to, which we talked about this. All you could have done is say, just let me send you a photo of my family if that's what you're looking for. Let me know what kind of photo you're looking for. Don't just go through my phone. But it became a much bigger thing. The NHLPA got involved because of the player complaints to the league or to the association. So at that point, it's just more of a distraction, and there's no way if you have players in the locker room that don't trust you that you can continue to coach the team. So Babcock, after 2 months of being the head coach officially for the Blue Jackets, has stepped down. So nice, weird, odd start to a season having a new coach take over before you even really get started.
I'm not that old, but come on, bro. This freaking new generation that we're bringing up, they're just so soft. I'm not saying physically soft. I'm not saying they can beat me up or what. I'm not saying that, right? But I just feel like they're so. Why are they going to tell the Players Association? The guy's not making racist comments. He's not threatening them with violence. What is so wrong? Again, he's a little bit of an older cat, so he asked it in the wrong way. Be an adult, go up, or maybe tell another teammate that you guys should all maybe tell an older teammate, a vet,
Yeah.
and just say, like, dude, like, if we'll down to give you pictures, but we'll send you pictures of whatever you need to help us like learn each other's families and kind of
Yeah.
get closer and stuff like that. I get that. But I'm just gonna hand over my open phone and let you scroll through whatever. I get their side. What I don't get is them going to the NFL Players Association complaining about it. I feel like you could just be a man and just chill out and then just go talk to the coach about it. Or again, like I said, talk to a vet player for him to bring it up or something if you
Yeah.
feel like that's better. But
Or
I
worst
just thought it was
case,
so
if
weird.
anything, go to the owner or somebody in management, and then that
Keep it
way, yeah,
inside. It
keep it in
doesn't
the
need to go to
house,
the
and that way,
Players
I mean, it's not
Association.
like you said. It wasn't like he made any derogatory comments or anything like that. He didn't
No.
like steal the phone away from you and like make you open it up. It was probably more of like, hey, give me your phone, let's open it up, give me so I can see some photos. And if he's just trying to look for family, like you said, to connect with everybody and everybody to bond and become better of a team, then I don't see the big deal. But again, once you lose the trust of the locker room and there's not everybody's on the same page from this before you even start camp, at that point it's more of a distraction. You have to walk away. I think it's the best thing, unfortunately, at this point for the to go down.
Dude, kids these days, if they're not looking at the same Instagram page, they're not on the same page. Okay, all they do is they sit in the locker room probably and just sit on the front. I don't know. I'm not in there probably, but I just feel
No,
like
well,
that's all
if
kids
Matt
do these
Stafford's
days,
wife said it, that's kind of what it looks
right?
like, right? In NFL locker
That's
rooms. I
actually
can't
true. That's very
imagine
true.
NHL locker rooms are much different.
They're all kids. They're all doing the same general thing. Just because they play a
Yeah,
different sport, right, doesn't make it any different.
yeah, very
Yeah, it's a weird
strange.
one.
Yeah,
It's a
strange
weird
as
one.
well.
I think
But
they should just let it go.
yeah,
But
well,
I
he
understand
is.
I understand them separating.
Yeah, he has decided to just make it a easy way to get out. So Pascal Vincent, who's been on the coaching staff the last year or two, is going to be his replacement, and signs a 2-year contract to take over. There is a small advantage, at least having him there. He does know them already. He's been there for the last 2 years. So even though Babcock was a better coach as far as resume, he was coming in. It was his first season with them. Maybe him having been there the previous 2 years and seeing what the other coach was doing, he has a better idea of what maybe they can do differently. And maybe in the long run, it'll be a good thing for the Blue Jackets.
We shall see.
Which I know my brother-in-law will like because they live in Columbus and he likes to go to games occasionally. So the better they are, the more he gets to enjoy some good hockey.
Woo! Go Blue
So,
Jackets.
which we talked about rivalries earlier and big games during the weekend and stuff, but I think the biggest news in hockey to talk about is Connor Bedard. He was the number one pick for Chicago. Should have been Doug. We don't need to talk about that. But his first
Yeah,
game,
that's not rigged.
right? It's
Jeez,
not like
bro. Come
1984
on.
Knicks. So terrible. But the great thing is his first official game to start the season on opening night, I believe, is going to be against Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby. So you have the young up and coming face of the league.
Let's go Pens, baby.
The face of the league for the last 15 to 20
That's
years.
what I need. I need a Sidney Crosby sweater.
There we go. Okay, we will work on that.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's a good thing.
That's what I need.
But the crazy thing to me, I think, with it is, I mean, I guess you didn't know he was going to be on Chicago when you made the schedule or whatever. But
yeah, no,
you could have had Bedard open
right.
up at home, but his first like 5 or 6 games are on the road. They go to Pittsburgh, at Boston, Montreal, Toronto, and Colorado before they finally get to go home and play against Vegas, who is the defending champ, as we talked about earlier. So I just feel like
it's weird crazy.
That they didn't plan that
5-game road
trip to start the season.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
That's weird in any sport, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right. I feel like two, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
2, because then you deserve to have your home fans have within the first week of hockey, they don't get to watch their team at home. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, I can understand games because you got to, get people. Other people have to have home games too, obviously.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You got to wait a whole week's worth of games plus because they're not playing daily, right? 5 games is a week and a half, right? Maybe 2 weeks worth of games.
Yeah, 5, probably 10 or 11 days.
What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I just thought it was weird, but also they did plan it really well. They're playing against Pittsburgh and Montreal and Toronto, who are original 6,
and Boston.
I mean, Boston, Montreal, and Toronto. That's what I meant. Who are original 6. So that's huge right there. And I think Boston's actually celebrating their centennial year this year, which is just.
They're also celebrating getting their ass beat at the last second when they should have won last year.
Yeah, they are probably beating themselves up about that, especially the way Florida ended in that Stanley Cup final against Vegas.
Yeah, man, they got rolled, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
No offense. I was rooting for him, but
speaking of roll, I hope that Bedard and Chicago at least can have some offense, because I don't know if they have much defense there, because they were 31st last year out of the league, which the Ducks were 32. But the fact that they brought in Taylor Hall and Corey Perry, who are both former Hart Trophy winners or MVPs, and you brought in Nick Foligno, which are all over 30. Hall's 31, Perry's 38, Foligno's 35. But you got this veteran experience. I mean, Bedard is 18 technically now, and he's a kid, so he's going to be
Hey,
small.
Corey Perry's got that ring too, though.
He's got 1 ring, and he's got 4 finals appearances. Get this. Corey Perry, the 2 years the Tampa Bay Lightning won back-to-back, he was on the other team both times.
Oh,
so
and
then the following year, he joins the Lightning. They go to the final, and they lose. So he had 3 more opportunities for rings, and unfortunately,
I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I feel like he was also on. What team was he on last year? Because I think they went far.
He was on Tampa again last year as well, so they made.
That's what I thought. I was like, didn't he go? Dude, he can't catch a freaking break. Dude.
I know. So now he's going to Chicago where they're rebuilding, but I think it's more of a veteran leadership role along with Foligno. And Taylor Hall won the MVP just, I think, it was 5 years ago in New Jersey or so when he won it. And if Bedard can do his thing and pass, like I've seen all these highlights and they've talked about him having that kind of game, then having these guys around him, especially Taylor Hall on one side to pass to and get a one-time.
He's still young. 31's not too old.
Not at all. And if Hall can have that guy feeding him like I expect him to, their offense is not going to be a problem. It'll just be more of a defensive thing. But I mean, Bedard is the future of the league. He's the new Connor McDavid at this point. Like he's going to be the future.
Connor McDavid's still here.
Yeah, I know, but Bedard is the next coming of age hockey player. So
isn't he on Vegas?
No, that's Jack Eichel that you're thinking of.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew there was
McDavid's still in Edmonton, which this could be their last shot, depending on how this team looks at the end of the year, which is kind of crazy.
Corey Perry's a Hall of Famer, right?
Oh,
MVP, Stanley Cup winner.
He's a gold winner with the Canadian team for Olympics, so yeah, he probably is. He probably is. Cool. That sucks too, because there's rumors that Getzlaf's kind of so it would suck for one to get in and not the other because they're just so.
Damn, Getzlaf's on the borderline. I feel like, well, maybe he's a Ducks great, huh?
Yeah, he's a Ducks great for sure, but there's talk of his Hall of Fame resume may not. It's a 50-50 chance he gets in when he gets an opportunity. So I hope he does, because if he does, that means we get to retire his number up there with Solani and Niedermeyer and Korea, which would be great. So, and then Perry obviously would be with him. So
true. It's a big number for the Ducks actually this year. It's 30.
30th season. Dude, I'm so excited. We've been talking about this at work for like a year and a half and planning.
I mean, you're going to be busy.
Things. Oh, I'm going to be busy.
Get ready.
Oh, it's going to be nuts. But I'm excited. I think even though we were terrible last year in the standings, there's a new coach coming in. They brought in defenseman Radko Gudas, who was on Florida last year and played in the Stanley Cup final. They brought in 2-time Stanley Cup Alex Killorn from the Tampa Bay Lightning, as we talked about earlier.
Nice, yeah.
Gudas actually played in Tampa Bay, I think, about a decade ago with Killorn, maybe when they were younger, so they already know each other, which is good. But them bringing their experience and veteran stuff into our locker room, which is very young, it's good and upcoming, but it's very young and needs a few things, especially the defensive side the last couple of years has been a struggle. And because of that, Gibson has also had to play, where he's have 55 saves if we're going to have an opportunity to win that game. And that's just not fair to him with how good he is. So I think that veteran leadership they brought in is really good. If Adam Henrique can be healthy this year like he was a year and a half ago, he kind of had like a resurgence on the offensive side of the puck, which Terry's there. If they get Zegras and Drysdale's contract situation taken care of, but they're restricted. But then McTavish is in there. There's a lot of opportunity for this offense to flourish if they can really take advantage of what they have. I think the new coach, Greg Cronin, I'm super excited. I watched this press conference and I could not. It's one of those, like we talked about the Dion things. You hear him talk, or you're like, okay, I could go play for him. Like, let's go do this right now.
Oh, yeah. He's like,
I kind of got the Boston accent. Kind of reminds me of my grandpa, which I have a tie to. I always love that accent. And his
hockey accent.
Yeah, his tone is very like business-like. We're here to win. I'm here to develop the young guys so we can get better and then win. Like, it's all about just very almost robotic, and I'm like, that's what you need. You need somebody even keel to get these guys and those older veterans to get the younger guys, Zegras and Drysdale and all those guys ready for the long haul. And I don't know, maybe not this year we could make the playoffs, but we could flirt with it for a while. But it would be great to make it back in. It's been a long time since we made it.
Let's be over 500.
Well, yeah, that's a good start.
I know that's not a thing
let's not
with
be
ties and points
32nd
and stuff.
out of 32 this year. Let's
Yeah.
get in the top 25 at least.
Well, we should have had Bedard, honestly. That should have been our reward.
You know what the worst part is? The other one that we got screwed back in the day with drafts is when Sidney Crosby went number 1, we picked number 2, and we got Bobby Ryan. And Bobby Ryan was good when we had him.
He's okay.
He was okay when he went to Ottawa. I know he had his issues off the ice, but he was able to come back from that and actually get back into hockey for one last little run. But
Sidney
we
Crosby.
could have had Sidney Crosby, and now we could have had Bedard.
Dude, Ducks keep getting screwed. No, they just don't want it to be here. That's all it is.
I guess so, man. I guess so.
But that's history.
Yes.
Just like this episode.
It has officially come to an end.
Yeah. We have one more segment. Of course, one of my favorite segments. Let's keep it historical. This Week in Sports History. This Week in Sports History. This Week in Sports History. Keeping it with 2. We have September 17th and September 20th. September 17th, 2004. San Francisco's Barry Bonds hits his 700th home run, joining Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron with 714 and 755 respectively, as the only players to ever reach the 700 milestone. Pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're a big Bonds fan. The Bonds thing, man, I can't. He was just so adamant about not doing anything and not cheating. But it's like, bro, you don't get that big and your head size doesn't go from here to this. Like, it's just so in front of our face. And then once he retired, he stopped taking. You could tell he melted back down to like a normal size. So what were you doing? Stop lying about it and just admit it. I would have more respect if you would just admit the damn thing. And then maybe you could go in the Hall of Fame. But until you admit and stop being a jerk about it, no one's going to vote you in there. Like, you weren't very nice to people either. You and I talked about it. Bonds, you were like, oh, maybe he wasn't good in Pittsburgh. No, he was great in Pittsburgh when he was younger. He actually was probably better, especially because he could run and he wasn't a big, huge guy. He was stealing bases, making diving catches. I mean, he was great.
Played outfield.
Yeah, he was a fantastic player. And then when he got to Frisco, obviously all the offensive stuff has been great on the numbers wise, but what do we know what's real or not? I don't know.
Well, until baseball
frustrates me. Again, we talked about it. I'm a huge baseball fan, so it bugs me.
Until the baseball confirms, we can say nothing. But I mean, we can have our opinion. That's not what I mean. You can say whatever you want. There's no definitive thing, unfortunately.
No, it is not.
More record-breaking stuff, though. Switching over pigskin. September 20th, taking it back a little bit, 1987. Before we were even born, my friend, and we are fairly old. Chicago's Walter Payton breaks Jim Brown's NFL record with his 107th rushing touchdown, as the Bears beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-3. You watched that game, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think no. But, Walter Payton, man, sweetness. All the highlights and videos we saw of him was just, I don't know, gliding through the air. A lot of those jumping over the offensive line for the Bears back in the day and when they won that Super Bowl with the 85 defense. I just remember hearing good things and remembering good things. Obviously, they've named the Man of the Year.
Man of the Year after him. That's what I was going to say.
So, I don't know. It's crazy that
obviously a stand-up guy as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good guy. It just sucks that he went so young because I believe cancer, if I remember correctly, he went so young.
I don't remember what, but yes, I do remember it was young.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Sucks. But hey, man, he was able to do his thing and break the record at that time. And the fact that he broke Jim Brown's record, that's huge because Jim Brown is talked about as one of, if not the best football players of all time.
Right? Yeah, true.
Well, now that we finished our episode, what's on your weekend plans, man?
Football, as always. That's all we do. We got some bets. I have another one. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
Because I don't want to say nothing. But we'll see how that goes. Besides, obviously, I got 5 on it bet. Other than that, just relaxing. Dad's birthday's on Sunday, so I'm going to go out to dinner, I think, tomorrow, and then brunch again on Sunday. Actually, no. Wifey and I are going to Horror Nights on Sunday night.
Oh,
forgot about that. Yeah. What are you doing this weekend?
Working a lot. I'm working Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie concert tomorrow. It's actually my settlement, so I got to be there at 10:30. I think I'm going to be hopefully out of there before 2 a.m. cross our fingers. But yeah, it's going to be super busy. And then actually on Sunday we have our first preseason game. Only the store, no stands and stuff, so pretty easy. But still, it'd be nice to have hockey being played again and hearing the puck and the stick out on the ice while we're in the store and working and wearing a jacket indoors because it's freezing and cold again. It's hockey, man. It's almost October. I'm excited.
October is the best time of year besides March also. Those are the two best months I feel like in sports. So, but October's a little bit better because in my opinion, baseball playoffs. Playoffs is the best time of baseball. And I don't mind regular season basketball and football. So hockey's starting too. It's always fun to watch. Definitely the best time.
Heck yeah.
But well, anyways, thanks for hanging out with us and seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.